If you guys didn't know, the Ultimate Fighter Season Episode 1 just aired for everybody. I believe in some countries it's going to be aired tomorrow, so I think a couple of people might miss out, so I am going to say that there is going to be some spoilers in this video. I'm going to be reviewing and kind of recapping, talking about my feelings and thoughts on Episode 1, and I will spoil the fight, which did happen on Episode 1. There was one fight, and I will talk about that later. So if you don't want spoilers, click off the video now, maybe talk about it and watch it after you've seen the episode. But one thing I'm going to say, if you're not watching the Ultimate Fighter this season, you are missing out. I saw a couple of people on Twitter say that they didn't like the episode. I don't know what you're watching, dude. That was fun. That was one of the best TUF seasons, the best opening episode to a TUF season we have ever had, and then on top of that as well, it just seems like it's going to keep getting better. The little role that they had, like at the end of the episode 1 of what's to come, I'm telling you guys, man, this is going to be a really fun season. I'm really looking forward to it, and it did start off very interestingly, and what has actually ended up happening was with the coin toss and all that sort of thing, Conor McGregor has the prospects, the up-and-coming guys, and Michael Chandler has the UFC veterans for both weight classes. For both weight classes, it's prospects versus veterans. I think that makes sense. And one thing I'm going to notice, it's so weird, but this is the first thing I noticed. Chandler has like the most obvious HGH gut like I've ever seen when he's wearing a singlet. Like it sticks out like in front of his pecs. It's absolutely insane. But aside from that, I will say as well, Michael Chandler, if I was on the Ultimate Fighter, I think going into the show, I'd want to be on Conor McGregor's team, because you just get that popularity from being on Conor McGregor's team. But if I was like, after I was on the show and I realized how much better and more professional Michael Chandler is, I'll be like, yeah, I want to be on Chandler's team. Like, from the way that Conor McGregor kind of is, like he missed the weigh-ins for the first fight, and then he seems to be really involved in the coaching, which is good. But you know, like he showed up late for the prep for his guy. Like, you know, when the guy, which was Michael Chandler's team, when he walked in, Michael Chandler was waiting in the room. You know, Conor McGregor's guy had to wait for his hands to be wrapped before Conor McGregor even showed up. Like, he's a little bit unprofessional like that as well. And another thing I will say is it seems like Michael Chandler's got a really good team with him, you know. He has Ryan Bader as one of the coach. He's a guy that could give a lot of experience, a lot of teachings. He was on the Ultimate Fighter, I think, was it season 8 he won? And he's also the Bellator heavyweight champion, I believe. So he could give a lot of like help to guys to be ready for the UFC, and also just to be ready for the Ultimate Fighter in general. And he seems to have pretty good coaches. Obviously, McGregor's got some great coaches, some legendary coaches with him as well. But it just seems like, man, Michael Chandler's more committed to this. Like, for Chandler, this is everything to Chandler. He is committing day in, day out, 100% to the Ultimate Fighter. For Conor McGregor, it almost just feels like this is a thing that he's doing on the side. You know what I mean? Like, Conor McGregor, he's showing up late. He's showing up in his Lamborghini. You know, like he's just not, he's not into it. You know, he's not really, he is into it. He's well into it in the training. Like, he's sparring with the guys, but he's not like Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's more professional. Michael Chandler's out here, you know, really being professional and really doing all these sort of things with the fighters, for the fighters. And now I'm going to spoil the fight. And I don't think that the result of this fight was at all directly due to Conor McGregor potentially being a little bit more less of a professional coach whatsoever. Roosevelt Roberts, man, if you guys didn't know. So, Roosevelt Roberts knocked out Nate Jennerman in less than 10 seconds. I believe the official time was like 8 or 9 seconds. It hasn't been added to Tapology yet. But Nate Jennerman, this is Conor McGregor's guy, the prospect, the up-and-coming guy that hasn't been in the UFC before. And Roosevelt Roberts is obviously the UFC veteran. He's won a couple of fights and earned his way back into the house doing that. And Roosevelt Roberts seems like a guy that is taking this very, very seriously. And he seems like he's coming across it's like a very likable person as well in the show. You know, obviously they do their best to try and make you like them, but Roosevelt Roberts seems like a genuine guy, and he just knocked out Nate Jennerman in the first round, 9 seconds into the first round. You know, I think he landed a really good overhand right, or just a straight right to start with, and then it was like a hook, I guess, that kind of got behind the ear of Jennerman, sat him down, and then just a couple of ground and pound shots. The fight didn't last very long. Jennerman wasn't able to showcase kind of his skills like at all. Roberts just put him out in 10 seconds. But yeah, the fight was good. It lasted 10 seconds. It was a fun fight. And then on to that, the next fight as well. I'm going to spoil the next fight if you guys didn't notice. If you guys did watch the episode, you'll know that this is the next fight. It's Trevor Wells versus Timur Valiev. And the thing is with Timur Valiev being on the show is I do think it's a little bit weird. I do think it's a little bit weird that Timur Valiev is on the show because he only lost one fight. Like, why was he released from the UFC? Like, what happened for Timur Valiev to be released from the UFC? You know what I mean? After a loss to Jack Shaw, who was undefeated at the time. He was 2-1. You know, I guess he lost to Trevin Jones, but that was overturned due to Jones being on some I think it was marijuana he got done for. But yeah, like I don't understand why Timur Valiev's on the show. He should still be in the UFC, but he's taking on Trevor Wells. This is a tough fight for Trevor Wells, man. Like, it's a real tough fight for Trevor Wells. Potentially, he could get it done. I'm looking forward to the fight. Hopefully, the loss really makes Conor McGregor a little bit more motivated to be coaching on the show and this and that. But I'm telling you guys, hey, this is fun. This is fun. I just wanted to kind of talk about the first episode. That's kind of all I've really got to say. If anyone's saying that the episode wasn't that great, I disagree. I think it was a great episode, but I think the best is yet to come. You know, it's the first episode. The first episode of TUF usually can be great. I mean, it was fantastic back in the day when the fighters had to fight just to get onto the show, but they don't have to do that anymore. Nowadays, TUF episode 1 is just kind of like an introduction. You know, you get to know the fighters, you get to find out about them. The fighters pick the teams, which is always fun. And then just kind of introduction to all the fighters into the house, how they're going to train, how they're going to do this, the fight announcements, and that's kind of it, you know, like, what more could they have done to that episode to make it a better episode? You know, I think they made the episode as good as they possibly could. And I think the best, as I said, is yet to come. You're going to have the coaches challenges where like Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler will kind of do like weird challenges, I guess you could say. Not weird, but it's kind of like weird challenges. They are weird challenges to kind of just to kind of get a bit of competitive edge there. But one thing that I did notice though throughout the whole show, Michael Chandler is so much more committed to TUF 31. He's so much more committed to TUF 31 than Conor McGregor is. As I said, McGregor's almost treating it like a thing on the side, whereas Chandler, this is Chandler's thing. Like, Chandler is committed to this. If I was on the show, as I said, going into the show, you'd want to be on McGregor's team because it's Conor McGregor. But after like seeing the fights and stuff, you would want to be on Michael Chandler's team. Michael Chandler is taking this much more seriously, man. He is taking it a lot more seriously than everybody else. Now, let's just talk about the teams real quick. I'm probably going to forget things about the teams. But on Conor McGregor's team is Lee Hammond. He's got Lee Hammond on his team, and he's got Nate Ginnerman on the team, who just lost. He's got Aaron McKenzie on the team, and then he's got Landon Canones on the team as well. Now, obviously, on Michael Chandler's team, you've got Roosevelt Roberts, who, after that performance, and it was only a 10-second KO, but if you look at this loss, this group of people, I think Roosevelt Roberts has a really good chance of winning the whole thing, but then they've got Roosevelt Roberts and Jason Knight, I believe that is, and Austin Hubbard and Kurt Holliber. Now, Lee Hammond was the number 1 seed for Conor McGregor. I don't know if he made Lee Hammond the number 1 seed because he genuinely thinks he is the best in his team, or if he did it tactically to potentially fight the number 4 seed of Chandler, but Kurt Holliber and Lee Hammond are going to fight, I believe, at some point. And that's going to be an interesting fight because in the face-off, Lee Hammond was kind of like looking at Holliber, was like staring at him like in a face-off, but Hammond was kind of looking down to the floor, didn't really know where to look. And hey, I don't know. You can't read much into a face-off, so I thought that was an interesting little fact. Now, the next one is obviously Chandler's team is the former UFC fighters. So he has Hunter Azure. He also has Cody Gibson. He has Brad Katona, who I think is a favorite to win the whole thing, and he's got Timur Valiev. And then on the side of Conor McGregor, you've got Trevor Wells, who's taking on Timur Valiev, Carlos Vera, and then you also have Mando Gutierrez and Rico Descalio. It's worth noting that Rico Descalio is 36 years old, so hey, he's a bit old. He's a bit old for the show, but it is what it is. But yeah, let me know what you think about the show in the comments below. I genuinely believe people that are saying that they didn't like the show, they're missing out, man. And they're just, I don't know, they're not lying to you. Like, they're open to their own opinions. But hey, this is gonna be something special, man. And I think it's something that you cannot miss. You cannot miss The Ultimate Fighter Season 31. It is genuinely going to be one of the best seasons ever. I genuinely cannot wait for this season. It is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. And just to give some early picks to who I think is going to win the whole thing, I guess. Might as well just do it at the end. Katona for bantamweight, or Valiev for bantamweight, I would say, are probably the most likely to win the whole thing. And then on the lightweights, Roosevelt Roberts is probably most likely to win the whole thing. And then aside from that, maybe I just don't see these three winning it. You know, I don't see Landon Canones winning it either. So I actually might go with Roosevelt Roberts or even Kurt Holobar just to win the whole thing. I don't know. I mean, Canones has fought some good guys. I think he probably has the best chance to win the whole thing out of all of the 155 prospects. But let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.